What do you want out of DoorDash?
I I think I'm all good physically, mentally to be here at this moment. And the DoorDash is mm, it, two large parts. One being that I don't know what I like want to do, where I want to go, that
Yeah.
career-wise in
Mhm.
general, right? So this is something to do to make some money in the meantime. And and then leading quickly into the next part, being that I'm just want to try things out. Just curious, like, hey, this seems like a nice way to make a little bit of money. Like maybe it won't
Yeah.
be something I enjoy, maybe I'll hate it. But but if it's a way that I
Yeah.
can make like good enough money, which I don't need much. I'm very good at saving and being frugal. So uh if it and especially the agency, my own agency in it, like controlling my own schedule, that is huge for me. A big
Yes.
block in me like just getting a job at any time I want is because I am super unwilling to do most jobs where they hire because it's like, oh, you have to do this and this at this time, and then also like maybe come in for an emergency thing because someone else. No, I refuse. No shot. So, so this,
Honestly, I'm with you. I am with you completely. But it also, yeah, you got to make some money somewhere, right? So good for you. I'm delighted to hear that those are your motivations. Yeah.
great. Thanks for not being judgmental.
You don't know what you want to do yet, but you still got to make some money somehow. I really feel like driving, gig work, delivery, or rideshare is where rideshare is what I do mostly. But I really
Hmm.
feel like gig work is sort of like, okay, that's what supports my artist dream, and I think it is perfect as a stopgap measure, or once you do, maybe we do have another source of income. You're like, I don't really need an extra $50. I can go make that right now. It's always nice to have that little backup. You want a little treat, or you fell a little short, whatever. So that's
Yeah.
what I think DoorDash is amazing for, is supporting you, with some cash in time while you're trying to sort things out. And I love driving and thinking. I do great thinking when I'm driving, and I don't know, and that's true for some folks. And then you want to try things out. Like, that's so exciting. That's like my favorite reason. Um,
Okay.
because yeah, I'll be so excited to see, like, okay, what is it that you sort of noticed? Are you an algorithm nerd and you kind of figure out how the algorithm's talking to you, or do you like to see where you go? So like there's all these different things that we'll eventually talk about that you don't know yet. Like
No,
what
I don't.
stuff about. I have lots of exciting adventures. Honestly, when I'm out driving, I see cool shit and I talk to cool people, and I don't know, I almost never have problem parking when I'm doing delivery. Like, I think it's
Nice.
awesome. So can be fun. But the agency too, like, yeah, fuck working for somebody else at whatever stupid ass fucking time is that
Yeah.
does not fit your needs, doesn't
Yeah.
take you into account, doesn't give flexibility. Like, you're not a fucking human being in that case. You don't have sovereignty and, like, yeah, agency. And that is bullshit. And so I actually am really delighted to hear that you're like, no, I am not going to participate in that. I can see the bullshit and I'll figure something else out.
Yeah.
That's kind of that's where I come from too.
Hmm.
But I do have a few decades of professional career to draw from. And that's really what has helped me figure out how to organize work time when it's up to me when I work, because it is a different sort of discipline and organization needed. So I learned that from profession, but now I get to practice it and I get to teach other people while taking away all the bullshit. So yeah, I am happy to hear those are your primary goals. So with that in mind, uh, first I want to offer that we very soon, depending on your timeline, get together and, like, let me do the driving and you get used to the app, because I think it's very taxing and really takes some concentration to get used to, and I don't think it's safe to drive when you're trying to learn it, honestly.
Okay.
That also gives us a chance for me, to ask questions, and for me, like, okay, that's what this means, and so I think that it basically would reduce the learning curve to an hour or two, instead of however many hours you're out by yourself. So, and it's not like, hey, you have to split it with me. No, I want you to actually feel successful really quickly, just because that makes me happy that you're happy, and so no, it'll go to your number. We'll do it for an hour or two, whatever feels fun to both of us, and chances are good you'll feel like, okay, I know how to read this thing, and you know
Okay.
we
See,
can go from
that's
there.
very nice. I will say I still wanted to have this meeting and be given all this information and tips, but uh, in
Mhm.
terms of like actually moving forward with the door dashing part of it, it still has I have the sign up. I went through your link, but it says that they're not taking anyone new in my area.
Okay. Okay, well, I can
So
talk about that too when
that's a
that's happening.
pause for now.
Well, good. You know what? In a way, that's actually helpful, because they give you such a limited time. They only give you 60 days. That 290 deliveries, you might decide, you know what? I'm not even going to go for the fucking thing, because it would be somewhat demanding. They said it a little ridiculously high. And that's one of the cautions that I wanted to do. That's just easier to do verbally. Is they what Phoenix's experience, as all those texts that I sent you were my friend Phoenix. Her experience was that at first it was like, coming in quick, and she was like, yeah, I'm making good money, and figuring stuff out, and this is cool. And then kind of no matter what she did, she was going out at the same times, she wasn't getting the offers as often anymore. And then she's like, well, now it's taking me twice as long to get half as many, and I don't have that much time to try to earn the bonus. So she did. After a bit, she stepped back and she's like, well, I've made $500. I'm pretty psyched about that. I'm gonna go ahead and keep doing it a little bit at a time, but I'm not going to stress myself out with the bonus. So yeah, that's something you can decide, but leaving yourself as much time as possible, the full 60 days. So we can still do the trial run. We just use my app, you
Yeah.
know, and that's fine. And that way I also can show you Grubhub too, because Grubhub might be taking people right now. And I think Grubhub, it pays better. So actually go check that one out. That one's not a referral bonus.
Yeah.
They don't have limits. They don't say you have to do this many. Go see if they're taking them, because I actually always recommend to be signed up with Grubhub.
Okay.
And it's all exactly the same. It's just a different company. So, um, uh, so the tips I sent you. So based on the tips you've already read, were there any questions, or did it all seem pretty clear?
No, I know it looked good. Yeah, I looked over the stuff, and I mean, I I'm very much I do like looking things up and gathering information, but at the same time, there's a limited amount I can get from that. So even though I apply that, and it just helps me apply the actual doing it myself quicker. I'm
Yeah,
very much a what they call it, a practical learner.
you do.
So you
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to do it
me too.
myself.
And once you do it a little bit, you'll know what kind of questions you have that you want to go look up. Instead of like, I could look up
Yeah.
all those things, like it's
Yeah.
overwhelming. So, um, yes, so good. I knew that exchange between Phoenix and I was going to come in really handy, because now we don't have to talk about all those things.
I can just refer back to them when I be like, what is this too?
Yeah. And to be fair, that was based on that time frame, and I do find that all of these apps change a little bit over time, and so that's actually kind of another cool thing about us going together with my app, is that um, that way I'll be able to teach you like based on now, instead of what it looked like months ago. Um, but then, so when it comes to actually making money, as I'm sure you've probably already figured out, to start with, it's not going to be as much. To start with, some trial and error and stuff like that. Even all the pro tips I've given, it just won't be as quick. It'll be a little more confusing. So maybe more like $15 an hour just to start, or yeah, as you're getting used to what times you're available that match with times that are busy. Like there's a little trial and error there too. But I'll tell you that when I did it, and say I gave it 2 hours or so every so often, I really pretty consistently made $25 an hour, and did not put a bunch of miles on my car, because those two go together. Because if you take long trips, you're spending far more time on each
Yeah.
one. And so you saw my rules of thumb. I mean, I don't actually always only accept $10 or more at this point, because it's sometimes that doesn't always work. But if you're generally only accepting ones that don't have a whole lot of miles and are around $10, you basically double the miles. Say it's 2 miles, it needs to be far more than 4. Like it has to be 10 basically, and you never want to go more than 5 miles for $10. Like that's total trip, right? So that's one thing. You keep your gas expense low. You keep the wear and tear on your car low. You get to kind of pick where you want to work. You're not getting sent all over bumfuck in Egypt. If you know roughly where you want to work, just don't accept shit that's going to take you outside of that area, or go off the app for a minute and go back to your area. Like that's how you control your number of miles, is just based on what you accept. And that's partly why you need to get used to the app before you're driving, because it's quick decision making that doesn't come immediately. So yeah, that's something you could do in the meantime, is if you want to like think about, do you want to stay pretty close to home? Probably. So then maybe kind of look at Google Maps and kind of go, okay, where's maybe some areas that look pretty dense, that probably have a bunch of, there's a lot of residential and there's a lot of restaurants right around there. Pick a couple spots that you feel like, well, I could go there. And then start seeing like what's around it, so you can start familiarizing yourself, like, because you don't get a lot of information and you got to figure, you got to choose real quick. So that's just something you could do in the meantime, but while you're waiting to get actually set up, but not required. So that's one way. You control your expenses, you control your time, you control how much money you're making. And I decide, if I'm like, I've gotten one $10 offer in the last 40 minutes, fuck this, I'm going home. It's obviously not a busy time. And that's another way I could make sure I'm making at least $25 an hour for me, or it's not worth it. I mean, unless maybe I have a book I want to listen to real bad. You know what I mean? If I'm like, I want to do some errands, I'm going to make sure I get paid to do errands. All right, I'll accept less than 25 an hour. But you're making your own choice, right? So that would be the next thing, is look at your schedule and just treat it like a job. Treat it like a job that you get to decide when you work, but pick the times. Maybe I'll work here. Maybe I'll work here. And then that way you don't have to decision make every single day. You can just go, okay, well, this is what I thought earlier this week. I'm not going to do Wednesday lunchtime, but I'll do Thursday breakfast. Just pick the times you want to work. Obviously mealtime,
Mealtime being better.
um, and Saturday and Sundays, I used to have a friend who did delivery full time, and she consistently made like 25 an hour. And she said typically Saturdays and Sundays, most of the day generally was fairly consistent. And like an hour before and an hour or so after, kind of traditional mealtimes, generally anywhere in there is going to be somewhat busy. And she would always go wait kind of in a parking lot of, say, there's like an Applebee's and a Red Robin and there's a whole Shake Shack, like all that stuff kind of in a general vicinity.
So you're just sitting there and then, I just have to go right in that building.
Right, exactly. And they do give you some sense of where it's busy. It will show you, like, this is the hot spot. So it really does mean when you go closer to it, you get more. So they are giving you some busy information. It's not all guessing.
Cool.
Yeah. So let me look at my notes. I went past my timeline. What is there anything I've said that you want to ask about, or should I just continue with some of the things that I think?
No, I think this is good information for when I inevitably find these things out myself quickly, and then now I have like a frame of reference.
Exactly. That's what the biggest thing to kind of cut on the learning curve. That's one of the ways I think the gig apps take advantage of people, is that they don't really make it that easy to learn it. And don't really make it that easy for you to find somebody to explain it to you. So I think that's one of the asshole things they do. You'll also find, like, we'll talk about this when we're actually like doing it, but they'll also test you. That this is how you train the algorithm. You do not accept bullshit. You will not take a $2 thing. You will not take a $4 thing. And it'll send you a shit one once in a while, but then it'll stop sending you the shit ones if you never take them. And it'll start sending you the higher paying ones. And if you're not getting higher payer ones, it's just time to go home. But that's how you train the algorithm. Like, no, I won't take that bullshit. No, I won't drive for 6 miles for, a $7 tip, and I sure as hell am not going to go to any fast food restaurant. And I do not accept fast food. Maybe other people have different experiences, but I think it's a fucking waste of time. And I hate going inside the lobbies because they're noisy. So.
True. Yeah, is it like a moral? They just always pay really bad, or?
And they always take really long. Like I have almost never walked in and the food is ready, or they make
ironic.
you go through the delivery line, or they make you go through the line and they don't even start it till you place the order. I've just had like at McDonald's makes my head want to explode because there's so many fucking noises going. So
okay.
I don't take them. I would encourage people to consider not taking them. I think they're shit.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Do you have a sense right now of like how many hours you'd like to maybe start with, or how many you want to work up to, or is it just going to be really variable and you just kind of decide week to week?
It's sort of pretty variable. I mean, I've got a pretty hefty amount of free time right now, and if I actually enjoy doing it, then at least like the days that I don't have the prime hours, like the mealtime hours, I would be doing those. So I think like Wednesday and Saturday lunchtimes, I would be busy, but otherwise,
Oh, good.
all the other day lunchtimes, there's breakfasts, there's
Good.
dinners.
So what that means is that not only so what that means is if you decide you do want to go for the bonus, it's a possibility, especially
I have the time for it. Yeah.
Good, perfect. Okay, so then let me break down some numbers for you so that you just have a sense of how it would work, right? So let's start with a $15 an hour, just like maybe your training week. Say you put in 10 hours or so before you start to like consistently make more. Maybe you'll do it quicker, I don't know. But if so let's say $15 an hour, and let's say I believe my average, just correct me if I'm wrong, I think somewhere in my text I say I had 2.5 deliveries per hour average. Is that correct? Do you remember?
I'll have to check that manually.
Yeah, I should have reread them. I forgot. But this also just show you like kind of basically how to decide whether or not it's worth it at that time. Is with hard data.
There's some. I mean, I don't know if this is you or you Onyx saying.
Oh no, that's Phoenix. Yeah, what she's
Phoenix. She's saying you need to average 5 hours per day to get 270 by 727, but that was also. I mean, how long ago were
Oh,
these?
sorry. Let's break that down first. Well, yeah, thank you for the reminder. So 290 divided by 60 days. So yes, so that does break down to five per day if you're only doing 5 per day. I mean, it's really pretty easy to do 10 in a day, right? So now that you know that at a decent, when it's relatively busy, 2.5 deliveries per hour, you can figure out how long it would take you to do 5 or 10. Does that make sense? What would that be? I can't do a simple math.
Yeah, you got this. It's here. It's got the 5, which I'm gonna be starting. Who knows how much later with the block on availability, but
well, try Grubhub.
I mean, yeah,
but again, before we get off the call, let's schedule a time for us to get together.
Okay.
Ideally this week, so that yeah. But go ahead and still try Grubhub because, like I said, there's no limit. But okay. So yeah. So let's see. Let's just go. So what is that? Okay, let's just do it by 8 weeks actually. So that's 37 per week. I think that's easier to figure out, right?
37 per week, yeah.
Yeah, 37 per week. If you did that straight for 2 months, you would earn the bonus. And I saw that it was 600 for like the referrer, and 400 for. I think that's bullshit. I don't want 600. So I mean, if you earn it, I don't know what I would keep, maybe $200 or something, but I would want the rest for you, because then,
Okay.
yeah, no, this isn't money making for me. Yeah, sure. It helps me because I am going to spend some time and I'll keep a couple $100, right? But, um, again, I want it to be as valuable for you as possible, because then if there's, okay, so let's see, yours was 400. Okay, let's just decide. Okay, so say your bonus is going to be 800. If you do this 290 and it'll be 800, just take 800 divided by 290. That means basically for every delivery you do, you would be making an additional 275.
Where's
So
the 290 coming from? Is that the amount of deliveries?
that's the amount of deliveries you need to do. See, the texts you're looking at are old. So
It's going up
yeah, see, another reason I think they're dicks, but yeah.
because yeah, here it's 270,
So that's
and
also why if you front load, if you take advantage of the fact that they actually do try to keep you going for the first couple of weeks, and you'd actually do work as much as you can without getting too tired, like keep in mind it's very demanding on your brain, then you might do a lot better. I don't know, because I don't think Phoenix had that availability. I don't think she was able to do a ton at once. But when I know this kind of thing, and I'm like, okay, I really want a couple more deliveries, but I'm not getting $10 ones. All right, well, if I get my bonus, it's basically like I'm making another 275 per delivery. All right, that makes it worth it to me. So that's one thing you can kind of take into account. Yeah, it's possible.
guess I'll
But
start to get good at math if I do this.
yeah, absolutely. And we'll do, this is one of the things I'd be so excited to be able to do, is because I love breaking down things. I do this with my gig apps all the time. I'm like, okay, how many deliveries how many rides did I do? So what was my per ride average, and how much food am I making per hour? And like I geek out. And so you won't have to geek out in the same way, but I'll be able to help you calculate so that you really feel like, okay, I am making informed decisions about how to spend my time. And that is far and away like the best way for you to feel like it's a good use of your time. And you're not wasting money on gas or your car or getting too tired. Like you can really decide. And it really actually annoys me how often I will ask a driver, a rideshare driver or a delivery driver, how much do you make what's your hourly rate average? They never know. And I ask like how many like how do you decide what rides to accept or what deliveries to accept? They just take whatever the fuck is given to them. And like, do you have a limit on how many miles you'll drive for something? And they're like, yeah, I'll take whatever they give me. And that that is why people make
It
very,
bothers you. It's funny.
it pisses me off. I'm like, you are what's giving gig work a bad name, and you're wasting your money. You're like being an idiot. So, but then that helps me remind her, like, I can't be mad at them. They never learned. It's not fair for me to be mad.
And maybe having most people be like that actually gives the possibility for us to approach it smart anyway. I mean, I imagine if everybody approached it smart, then they would probably have to change their model and give us
Right.
less money.
This,
So
this
it wouldn't be sustainable.
exactly. This is the way you make the gig apps work for you. Is
Yeah.
you be one of the smarter ones using it. Um, so yeah, what was I going to say about that? Shoot. Yes, work smarter, not harder. um, we'll keep up. I'll be able to help you see how you calculate your numbers, so you always will feel like you're making good choices. And it also like the 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 thing that goes around saying it costs you money on your taxes. You make sure you put a bunch aside for taxes. The thing is that I have yet to have to pay taxes on any of my gig app work, because just the mileage alone is a huge tax write-off.
Oh.
And so it like reduce it, and it's just people get confused on what things mean. Like there's one thing called a itemized deduction. That's for the personal side of your things. But when you do something like this, you do use a section in the taxes that is for self-employed expenses, and you'll put in your mileage, and that'll cut down like probably all that you need in order to not have to pay taxes on it. But if you need a little more, well, I'm going to tell you the other things that you can keep track of. One of them being like, if you have Spotify, you pay for Spotify. Now that's a business expense. you know?
Oh, because you use it on the car ride or something?
Right. You want
That's
a
funny.
a podcast app that you got to pay for? Business expense. You want to go out to lunch while you're working? Business expense.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
I've heard about the ridiculous world of everything being a tax write-off.
Right. And that's one of the benefits of being self-employed and doing it smart is you get to decide when you work, how much, what you're willing to work for and what you're not. So you're choosing your own price. You don't have to talk to a client really, like hardly ever, it's just an app. And you are learning extraordinary business skills, really. You're basically the thing I think is the smartest thing to do in the fucking world is get paid to learn how to do things. If you're getting paid to learn and to increase your skill level and, like even that you're a genius. Like I really think that's the smartest possible thing. Get paid to learn. And you can do that by listening to stuff when you get to the point you're comfortable and you can listen to things that educate you or just
Yeah,
interest you or excite you, then that's a whole nother layer you get to add to it.
that is something that when I was mentioning, I said the two big things for me of why I want to do it. There's another important one that I really enjoy the idea of being able to make money while I'm just by myself, using my phone to listen to, play whatever I'm going to do, learn whatever I'm going to do. I mean, I'll probably focus on Spanish.
Exactly. And so like in a case like that, that's when I am willing to accept lower pay is when I'm like, you know what, I actually really want to listen to my book. Or you want to do 20 minutes uninterrupted, with Spanish or whatever. Turn the app off. So you also get to control that. You get to decide, I don't want to stop doing what I'm doing, or I'll wait for the app. Okay, I'm gonna, listen to Spanish for 5 minutes. So you have breaks. Take breaks whenever you want. And that's what the one exception is. I'll take less if I'm doing something like that. I want time to myself to concentrate or run an errand or something. Yeah.
Nice.
So I think my errands become a tax write-off because I will take a delivery or a ride,
Wow.
a rider to the part of town I want to go to, and then I go offline. I probably made $10 just to get there. I do my thing, and then I, I get paid to head back home.
That's really smart. That's very smart. Other people are driving around anyway.
Yeah,
Wow.
fuck it. And it takes a little more of my time, but generally I enjoy myself. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to work it. And it really is so smart it's such a good way to learn these skills that it's kind of hard to learn in most any other way. Yeah. And you don't have to ever go work for some dipshit who decides when you need to work. You're like, that doesn't work for me. No, I won't. So, yeah, was there something else? I know that there was more that I tend to like to tell people, but part of it for that I'm excited about with you that simplifies it is that you're not like, I need to make $1,000 as quick as possible. So that's coming from a stress place. That would be more tiring, a push. So this is great that you are not in that place. I'm going to look at the things real quick just to make sure it's something. Um, it's a good practice of getting to like take care of yourself too. Because if you're like, oh, I'm noticing I'm getting really fucking pissed, maybe I should take a break. you know,
Yeah,
so
I mean, yeah, don't keep doing it.
yeah, no, this should never be like a bummer. If it's a rough day, you're like things aren't going well, you're irritated, just stop. You know, I think that's another good reason for this stuff. It's annoying you, just stop. Come back to it later. Okay. Oh, so she does write about the hourly. I really never tried that. So that would be something that you just have to trial and error a little bit if you want. And I think in that case, you do kind of have to accept whatever they give you. But I don't know, maybe it works better than I think.
Is that like an alternate? Like there's
Yeah,
modes of the app you turn on, like I want to be hourly, and then you just have to take things and they pay you hourly for it, regardless of what.
yeah. So it gives you a like. I could go into detail why I think it's a waste of time. I mean, part of it being they only are paying you based for the time you're actually doing deliveries, not in between. And that's what I think is lame. But sometimes, I don't know, maybe that works. So it'd be worth trying, but it's only on DoorDash. Grubhub doesn't do that. Um, Okay, let's see. Looking for. Oh, she was trying to get more, so it worked for her. Um, and yeah, I would invite you to celebrate with me. You know, she sent me some like celebration messages. You know, that's. Do you use WhatsApp?
No,
Okay. Are
but
you
I
willing
mean,
to use
I
WhatsApp?
can.
Okay. The
I
reason
can.
I like it is then text can stay like friend stuff, you know, or like, hey, go look at your WhatsApp, you know, like a little more urgent or just kind of more like not work related. You know what I mean? So
Okay. Yeah.
so that way yeah, I like to separate them because I like to look at the work stuff when I'm during my work times, and that helps. So um so what that means is I'll send you an invite to WhatsApp, and there we can send either text or voice messages. Sometimes it's one or the other is going to be easier. So and it all stays in one place. So that's why I like it. Um, and when I send voice messages, I try to give it a title so you know at least what the topic is, so you can decide when to listen to it. So great, we'll go to WhatsApp for, and like I did my first delivery on my own. You know, like I would want to
Yeah.
know that. You know,
Okay. You want me to? Sure.
I
Sure.
would want to know, like, oh, this restaurant was a jerk and it wasted time. Like, I would want to know that because I know it's like, it's it's what happens. And if you don't talk about it at all with anybody, then it
It's
just,
a social element to a otherwise completely solo experience.
yeah, and it doesn't need to be a solo experience at all. And then, yeah, I'll be able to empathize and go, oh, yeah, I had that happen before. This is how I make sure it never happens again. Because you have to have those harder experiences so that you can also try to identify, like, okay, how do I make sure this one maybe doesn't catch me again? And a lot of them I will have already had. So I can just tell you, well, this is what I did. So again, less trial and error. Definitely take breaks. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. Um, uh, I've noticed for myself, I cannot really always tell in the moment when I'm reaching my executive level functioning kind of attention, limit. And I don't usually notice until I have taken a break for a little bit, like at least 5-10 minutes. So I really try to be pretty strict with myself that at least once an hour I go off the app. I take at least a little 10-15 minutes at least to get out of my car. Am I hungry? Do I need to go to the bathroom? Otherwise
Yeah.
push through it and then I'm miserable later. So that's where I'm coming from. Like, make sure you take breaks. Bring snacks. Make it easy and fun for yourself. No stress. It should be as little stress as possible. And it helps you kind of start to go, oh, what do I need in a go bag? What do I need? What do I like to have with me wherever I am? I mean, we used to have diaper bags for our babies. Why the hell do we stop doing that for ourselves? Like, there's just little things you like to have. Always have a snack bar hidden somewhere, like,
I'll figure it out. Yeah.
yeah,
Most
figure
importantly, I'll
out.
just have a big water bottle and
Yeah, always a water
go from
bottle
there.
for sure. Now tracking miles. Um, Unfortunately, the delivery apps aren't really great about that. They kind of leave it in your court, which I think is annoying.
Okay, it
Um,
doesn't keep track of all the miles you've driven.
well, I think this last tax year they did, but I, it's simple. It doesn't need to be hard. You don't have to keep track like everyone. What I would do is for as many of your first handful of shifts or whatever as you can remember. Like, don't stress yourself out. But whenever you can remember, do write down your starting mileage and your ending mileage for that particular delivery shift, because you're in a different part of town than I ever did. If you're working out there, I don't really know what an average kind of amount of miles is. So if you did that over a couple different shifts and you're like, all right, it seems to average like 5 miles per delivery, you know,
Mm.
then you just use that as a rule of thumb. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be any really more specific than that. Every once in a while, check what your average is. Make sure it's um, make sure you're still on track. Uh,
And you
and
just mean write down the mileage meter on my car's dashboard?
totally, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just when you remember, you're gonna forget sometimes, but over time you'll at least be able to collect enough data. You can get a sense of what your average is. It also will help you go, okay, I'm spending more driving more miles than I want. I need to make sure that I cut back on that. And so fine tuning your metrics is smart. Make sure you make as much as possible. So you already have some ideas of when you want to try driving, and as best you can, try to remember to keep some notes. What did you like about it? What did you not? What annoyed you? Yeah, just kind of try to keep track of some things, because then we can talk about it, and or you'll just learn a lot faster. You'll just see the patterns a lot quicker if you at least jot a few notes down. We will go over the specifics of how the app works when we're actually doing something together. Do you want to plan on 3:30? We also need a little bit of drive time.
Yeah. And that's with me, being very flexible with myself there, that I'm gonna need some food and probably a walk or something after the stuff that I'm doing that's keeping me busy.
Yes, I'm so happy to hear you say that. You're not forcing and pushing. You're taking care of yourself. Like, you're so far ahead of so many.
Does this not happen for most people?
No. It's really good. It's like, come on, you guys. No, dude. Like you apparently have no idea, like how much of, like, at the level at which you are caring for yourself is far different than a lot of folks your age and older. They just aren't doing it.
Okay,
So
cool. I took walks at my caregiving job. I was like,
what was that?
I took walks at my caregiving job. I was like, I can't sit here for 7 hours. I have to.
No, you cannot. No, you have no. Your intuition is very good. Everything I've heard you say, it like intuitively you have identified, very good. But again, if we just trust that everything happens in divine timing, which I think it does, then it'll become available when it's time.
I'm not worried about it. I just want to make sure that like I can't.
I think summer's gonna be really busy. I think summer's a super smart time to start. I think it's gonna be busy, is my theory. Because it's summertime, big, wider opportunities to work time, work time. So cool. Okay, good. Well, I will we'll talk on Wednesday. I will figure out where we're gonna meet and send that to you. And remind me if I don't.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Everything you want to?
Yeah, no, I feel great about this. Thank you.
Cool. Me too. Awesome. All right. Okay, we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.